Hello my friends, today we will discuss about history of Saudi first King Abdulaziz ibn Abdul Rahman al Saud. Widely known as Ibn Saud, was the founding monarch and first king of Saudi Arabia, a nation he established in 1930 after a series of military and political conquests. Born in 1875 in Riyadh, then part of the Emirate of Nejd under the House of Saud, he was a member of a family that had previously ruled the region but was overthrown by the rival Al-Rashid dynasty. In 1891, following the defeat of the House of Saud, Ibn Saud and his family were exiled to Kuwait. During this time, he grew up under the patronage of the Al-Sabah rulers, gaining experience in leadership and political strategy. In 1902, at just 26 years old, he launched a bold military campaign to recapture Riyadh, his family's ancestral home. With a small band of fighters, he succeeded in taking the city, marking the beginning of his long campaign to reunify the Arabian Peninsula under his rule. Between 1902 and 1925, Ibn Saud led a series of strategic military campaigns and tribal alliances that gradually allowed him to take control of Central Arabia. He reconquered the region of Nejd, defeated the powerful Al-Rashid rulers in Hale, and used religious and tribal loyalty, especially the support of the Wahhabi religious movement, to expand his influence. His most significant conquest came in 1924 to 1925 when he captured the holy cities of Mecca and Medina from the Hashemite rulers of the Hejaz. This was a major turning point, not only giving him control over Islam's most sacred sites, but also elevating his status across the Muslim world. In 1932, after uniting the regions of Hejaz, Nejd, and other tribal territories, Ibn Saud declared the establishment of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Naming himself as its king. As ruler, he consolidated power through a mix of religious legitimacy, tribal diplomacy, and firm control. He maintained strong ties with Islamic clerics and promoted the strict Wahhabi interpretation of Sunni Islam. His reign also marked the beginning of Saudi Arabia's complex relationship with the West, especially following the discovery of vast oil reserves in 1938 in the eastern province. This discovery brought tremendous wealth and transformed Saudi Arabia's economic and geopolitical significance, especially during and after World War II. Ibn Saud fathered over 40 sons and established a dynastic rule that continues to this day, with the throne passing through his descendants. He ruled until his death in 1953, leaving behind a newly unified and resource-rich kingdom that would go on to play a central role in global politics and the Islamic world. After the official formation of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 1932, King Abdulaziz ibn Saud began shaping the foundations of a modern state while maintaining the deeply rooted tribal and religious traditions of the Arabian Peninsula. His rule balanced modernization with conservative values, navigating complex internal and external challenges during a time of immense global change. One of the most significant developments during his reign was the discovery of oil in 1933. He granted a concession to the American company Standard Oil of California, later part of Aramco, allowing exploration in the eastern province. This decision proved to be visionary. In 1938, vast oil reserves were found near Dammam, and commercial production began. Oil transformed Saudi Arabia from a largely desert tribal society into a wealthy and strategically vital state. Revenues from oil allowed the king to solidify his control, provide resources to loyal tribes, develop infrastructure, and increase Saudi Arabia's diplomatic weight. King Abdulaziz was a shrewd diplomat. During World War II, he maintained Saudi Arabia's neutrality but carefully aligned with the Allies. After the war, in 1945, he met U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt aboard the USS Quincy in the Suez Canal, a historic meeting that cemented the U.S.-Saudi relationship for decades. This alliance was based on mutual interests, security, and oil. Domestically, Ibn Saud governed as an absolute monarch. There were no formal institutions, political parties, or written constitution. His word was law, and decisions were often made through councils of tribal and religious advisors. the king relied heavily on Wahhabi clerics to legitimize his authority and enforce social and religious norms. Sharia law, based on the Quran and Hadith as interpreted by the Hanbali school of thought, was the foundation of the legal system. Ibn Saud also implemented traditional justice and governance mechanisms, such as Majlis open court systems where citizens could directly petition him. He maintained peace across a once fragmented and war-torn land, using a combination of force, religious unity, marriage alliances, and strategic generosity to tribal leaders. Many tribal leaders were brought into the fold by giving them positions in the new state and sharing oil wealth. Despite his accomplishments, challenges persisted. The king had to balance modernity with religious conservatism, manage tribal rivalries, and ensure that his vast number of sons and relatives remained loyal. By the time of his death in 1953, he had fathered more than 40 sons and over 100 children, which created a complex royal family tree that continues to shape the Saudi succession system. King Abdulaziz died on November 9, 1953, in Taif. He was succeeded by his eldest surviving son, Saud bin Abdulaziz. Ibn Saud's legacy is monumental. He transformed a fragmented, impoverished desert land into a unified kingdom with enormous religious influence and growing global importance. His descendants, the Al Saud family, continued to rule the country, making Saudi Arabia one of the last absolute monarchies in the world today. To this day, King Abdulaziz is revered in Saudi Arabia as the father of the nation, with his name immortalized in institutions, universities, and major infrastructure projects such as King Abdulaziz International Airport and King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology. After King Abdulaziz's death in 1953, the legacy he left behind was more than just territorial unification. It was the establishment of a powerful dynasty rooted in oil wealth, Islamic authority, and tribal loyalty. His passing marked the end of a remarkable era, but his influence would shape every king and policy that followed. His immediate successor, King Saud, inherited a country still in the early stages of development. Although Saud initially carried forward his father's legacy, he struggled with managing the rapidly increasing oil revenues and the growing demands of modern governance. The transition of power from Abdulaziz to his sons set the precedent for Saudi succession. The throne would pass not from father to son, but from brother to brother among Abdulaziz's sons, a process that has continued for decades. One of Ibn Saud's most lasting achievements was embedding the House of Saud into the very identity of the kingdom. The state's name Saudi Arabia literally means land of the Saudis, making it one of the only modern nations named after its ruling family. This move helped unify diverse regions under a common national banner while reinforcing the monarchy's central authority. Culturally and religiously, Abdulaziz institutionalized Wahhabism as the state's religious foundation. He granted the religious establishment broad influence in return for legitimizing his rule, leading to the creation of powerful religious bodies like the ulama and the Committee for the Promotion of Virtue and the Prevention of Vice religious police. This deeply shaped Saudi Arabia's identity as the custodian of Islam's to holiest sites Mecca and Medina as the leader of the Muslim world, especially within Sunni Islam. Another vital aspect of Abdulaziz's rule was his ability to centralize authority in a vast and previously decentralized land. By incorporating tribal leaders into the bureaucracy, creating a royal guard, and establishing state institutions, he laid the foundation for a functioning government. While rudimentary by modern standards, these systems allowed for administration, tax collection, and military organization in a land previously ruled by custom and tribal law. In foreign affairs, Abdulaziz maintained a policy of pragmatic alliances. He was cautious of colonial powers like Britain and France, and though he cooperated with them at times, he maintained independence. His alliance with the United States, sealed through oil agreements and the historic 1945 meeting with President Roosevelt, was especially strategic. This relationship would define Saudi foreign policy for generations, giving the kingdom military protection in exchange for access to its vast oil resources. Abdulaziz's legacy also includes his visionary understanding of oil's geopolitical power. While the initial oil concessions were highly favorable to American companies, his decision to invite Western expertise planted the seeds for Saudi control over its oil industry. Later kings would follow this path, eventually nationalizing Aramco and turning it into the Saudi-owned energy giant it is today. Today, King Abdulaziz is remembered with almost mythic reverence inside Saudi Arabia. Statues are forbidden due to religious doctrine, but his image is widely displayed in paintings and posters. Schools, universities, hospitals, and airports bear his name. His strategic marriages into various tribes also ensured loyalty and alliance throughout the kingdom, and many of his sons went on to become ministers, governors, or kings themselves. His death marked not the end, but the beginning of a dynasty that would dominate the Arabian Peninsula politically and spiritually. His descendants remain in power, with King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman tracing their authority directly back to the founder. King Abdulaziz did not just create a country, he created a kingdom built to endure. From an exiled prince in the deserts of Kuwait to the founder of a powerful oil-rich monarchy, Ibn Saud's life was a blend of tribal leadership, religious alliance, and visionary state building. His ability to adapt, conquer, and unite remains one of the most dramatic leadership stories of the modern Middle East.